All right. All right. There we go.
Cool.
No, I used to watch football myself a long time ago. St. Louis Rams was my team.
Oh, really?
Back when I guess you would say they were good, like 96, 97, I think.
Yeah.
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 But I don't watch a lot of sports these days. I'll watch UFC football, but that's about it. But
Were
mostly
you
if I, huh?
were you from the St. Louis area? Like, why the
No,
Rams?
no, just I was born and raised in Oregon. Yeah, my entire life.
Really?
Lived in Texas for about a year, but that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why the Rams?
Well, to be honest with you, my uncle, that was the team that he liked.
Nice.
And so he was the favorite uncle among my brothers and myself. So it's kind of to appease him.
That's usually how it works out.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, some fun memories with that. Him shouting at the TVs, like, come on.
Right. Right. Yeah. No. Greatest show on turf, man. 99. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, how you been, man?
Been all right, dude. Just
Yeah.
living the dream, I guess.
Yeah. Avoiding all that COVID bug and all that.
Oh yeah. I never
Yeah.
really subscribe to that anyway. I don't know if that's gonna, like deter anybody that watches this or your
I
personal
got it.
feelings, but no, I just went along with my life, man.
Yeah. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is pretty surreal for me, man. The last time I saw you was when I was cruising YouTube looking for anything I could find about what you guys were maybe doing if you'd been doing anything with each other. Uh, I found this. I think it was like a hip hop song.
Okay.
Is that ring any bells for you?
Like as far as in reference to Simon Says?
You were a guest spot on it. I swear I heard you sing a few lines on it.
So
No, sounded
no,
like.
hold on. You gotta give me a minute. Let me see here. So if well well Zach, the guitar player in Simon Says, he's he's immersed himself in the hip hop world. Like
Uh,
he produces and he writes for a lot of hip hop artists.
that's pretty
Uh,
cool.
yeah. So the only thing that I can think of is I did do some guest vocals on maybe a track or two of something of those.
Mhm.
Uh, I didn't realize it was released or online. That's awesome.
I tried finding it again before this chat because I was always wanting to ask you about it because like I said, the limo song always gave me the impression that you might have been not against the music, but just like a lifestyle in it, right? But
Yeah.
uh no, I would peruse YouTube because I was eager, I was hoping, I was praying. I'm like, these guys gotta pop back up again. Like there's gotta be something in the tank. Um
Yeah, that could be an issue. Like if you looked at it a while ago and then you just recently came back to it to try to find it, that could be an issue with that could be a copyright issue, like depending on what label or entity that specific song got released on. Um, if there's some issue there, they may have pulled it from YouTube.
okay.
Uh, that's the only thing that I can really think of as to why it would have been there, and then all of a sudden it's not there. There's probably some sort of copyright, sort of pissing contest going on.
Uh, yeah.
Um, yeah,
That very well could be. It happens all the time on there.
right.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, as far as limos though, yeah, I mean, I know you and I touched base earlier about that song. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much time you have. I can get a little wordy and
About 40 minutes or so until the wife gets home.
all right. So you may have to cut me off and keep me focused here. Uh,
That's all. You,
I can
I'm you can really
go.
say whatever you feel like saying, man. This is all just like I said, I'm a huge fan. I just want to chat.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
No, Limos, that was actually the first song that we wrote for Shut Your Breath. We wrote that on the road during the Jumpstart tour cycle.
Uh,
Arietta, our bass player, basically kind of conceptualized and sort of like initiated that song. It was all built around that bass line. That was all him. It was something he would kind of riff around on during sound checks. We toured on Jumpstart on that record for a good 2 years. I mean, nationally and internationally. So we had a lot of sound checks. We had a lot of down. And I mean, it's no secret that that record cycle, just the whole sort of process of that record, it was it was a little bittersweet for us.
Yeah.
So I think getting out on the road and getting in front of people and interacting with people that knew us and people that didn't know us, their first impressions, I think that weighed, I won't say it weighed heavy, but it definitely was like kind of an eye opener for us. Like, whoa, like we didn't realize that like the perception was that we were this, when really we felt internally we were maybe this.
Uh-huh.
So when Mike kind of brought us that bass line and he would kind of riff around on it in sound check, we were all like, dude, that's dope. Like what's up? Let's move forward on it. And I remember being on the back of the bus, and Zach's always kind of been kind of the tech guy in the band. As far as like really delving into like the recording aspects of it. Like that's something that has never interested me personally.
So he brought all the recording material on the road and all that stuff.
I think he kind of initiated like getting some sort of little portable rig. Like Mike Arietta, our bass player, and Zach would kind of geek out on that stuff. But if I recall correctly, I feel like Zach was kind of like the initiator, like, hey, we should get something out here. I remember being on the back of the bus on part of that tour, and a little 4-track recording thing set up in the back lounge, and literally tracking limousines and penthouse suites. It wasn't limos at the time. It was just it was just like Mike's riff, and we had the luxury of working the song together through sound checking. So we literally wrote it in sound checks. We kind of put it all together. And then I think just the vibe of the whole, it's definitely dark. I think the vibe in general was like, we were so kind of burned and I don't know, kind of like scorned on the fact that like the perception was that we were some poppy sort of sheeny boy band.
Going back to the Jumpstart cover, right?
Exactly. That's the record cycle we were touring on. So it was like we would roll into places and we'd be on tour with, I mean, we toured with everyone from Biscuit to Filter to Stain to Typo Negative to Spineshank to Henry Rollins. I mean, we were out on the road with Rollins, and it was like everyone that took the time to, research or investigate who the opening band was, or maybe the main support band, which was us or whatever. That was always kind of the encounter that we would have with people was like, oh, we just thought you were like a pop band. And it was like after they'd watch the show, they'd be like, oh, you guys are actually like a real band.
Yeah.
So I think I was just like inspired at the time to like kind of like, I was immature. I was young, dude. I was 20 something years old, and like, I think my instinct was just to write a fuck you song. And that's really what Limos was. And is kind of an angsty kind of fuck you. Like, no, like we're we're actual songwriters, we're actual musicians, like we live the lifestyle that we like are, writing about. And and it was just kind of, that was my way of being like middle fingers to the air.
Yeah.
Now looking back, I don't have any regrets. I'll never say that I have regrets, because I'm super proud of what Simon Says did. But I think that I'm aware of the fact that I probably could have been a little more, I don't know, maybe what's the word I'm looking for? I could have been a little more worldly,
Uh-huh.
or maybe a little more mature in my writing. Because it's like, I have nothing but respect for any performer or any artist that puts themselves out there, no matter what the capacity is, whether you're a performer, like you're a person that is just an amazing singer or an amazing guitar player or an amazing whatever your performance, you're a performance artist. Like, you don't necessarily write songs, but you're a great performer. Like, I have nothing but respect for that. um I have nothing but respect for people that write songs and don't necessarily perform them. But back when you're 20, 22 years old, 21 years old, it's like, I had no perspective. I just thought everyone was doing the same thing we were doing. It's like, well, you write it and you perform it, and if you can't do both, you suck. You know what I
I
mean?
Well, hey, the way I've always kind of looked at it with, your songwriting and just the guys in general, how you guys created your music is, even at the time of Jumpstart and Shut Your Breath, particularly, however it came out for you, as far as like how you feel about how you wrote it and, your lyrics and everything, was how it needed to come out at the time.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that's exactly how it was. I think my point is just that, like, well, that's not everybody's path. Like, when you're green and you have no perspective, you tend to think like, well, everybody's living their life through my prism, because that's all I know. So for me to go up on stage, I mean, I've talked about this in podcasts before, and like, a lot of this stuff is captured where I'm just like, are you sick of the fucking Backstreets of the world? Are you sick of the NSYNCs of the world? And I'm like, fuck them. And it's like, dude, okay, like yes, you can appreciate the spirit of what I'm trying to say and the point that I'm trying to make, but the actual execution of that, I think I look back on that and I'm just like, dude, what are you doing, man? Like,
yeah,
you know,
me,
like,
me
you give
20, yeah, I I get it, because me 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have never listened to a band like Paramore. I would never listen to like, I even have a respect for Simple Plan. When I was in middle school and high school, I wouldn't touch that poppy stuff.
right,
But you kind of, I guess age is something to do with it. You just kind of come to appreciate and look at it through a different lens, like you're saying, basically. And because I was visceral, especially with like pop acts and like rap and hip hop, because I
right,
didn't like what they wrote about. Like, I didn't feel like it was real to the world, and it was just coming from like a material kind of way they lived their life, right? And so that's why, for me in particular, I identified with limos so much, because at the time for me it was about, that middle finger you're talking about.
yeah,
That was me to people that wanted to support, the poppy stuff like the Britney Spears and, stuff like that. But
yeah.
I don't so much feel like that now, but I still have a little bit of a bitterness, I guess, because I guess I feel like I'm saying I can see a fakeness to it still.
Well, sure.
Even if they're up there, they're performers like you're saying, but I could still, like, well, I would respect this a lot more if they wrote their stuff, right? But
Yeah,
that's just me.
yeah, no, I got you. And I think, like I said, I think that, like we were talking about earlier, um, I think for me, like, there is a core principle that I still fundamentally to this day, like identify with. It's exactly what you're saying. Like I don't want to be fake, and I don't respect anything that's fake. but at the same time, I can also appreciate and I can recognize like how difficult it is to write a song that connects with millions of people. And it's like that, I think, as a 40 something year old male, that's what I've kind of like come around to
Okay.
understanding is like, dude, bye bye bye, or you know, hit me one more time, or whatever the fucking, like it's
Right.
like I can appreciate like the the songwriting, like that's fucking dope. And then you
Yeah.
get people, you get artists, male or female, that can get up there and actually execute and like perform that shit like on the level that they perform it, and choreograph everything. Like I'm just like, it's not my bag. That's not what I ever want to do because it's just not me. It's not in my personality. But I'm at a place now to where it's like I can appreciate it and I can respect it. That's the only thing is like I don't have to, like, I'm not so insecure that if I don't understand it, I have to hate it. I can just go, well, I just, it's not my bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how I try to be like that nowadays too, but I still fall back into old habits every now and then.
But that's okay. That's all right. You know?
Uh, and I'm totally not. This is good though. I'm not really following what I wrote down for the outline, but that we don't need to. But I did want to ask you about. You touched on it a little bit. How was your songwriting process kind of developed from the time, if you could summarize it, of Jumpstart up until now? Like, what's different with how you approach it? What do you pull from, experience wise, with the guys, especially with, just reconnecting with them? Like, what's that like now?
For me personally, like writing like lyrics and melody, or for like how is the songwriting process with the band? Because those are
Both.
the things.
Yeah, both. If you wouldn't mind touching on it.
Yeah. For me personally, I don't think a whole lot has changed. I've always been pretty introspective. Um, I've always written from a place of I don't know how to write a happy song. So like I'm only really ever inspired by writing from a place of like, sadness or anger. Not to say that like every song I write's angry or sad. I mean, I I I think I instinctively, always sort of have like a positive sort of like I'll get myself out of this kind of thing. Um, I think a lot of action, in all honesty, I think a lot of heavy hard rock and heavy metal like has a positive message. Um, but so for me personally, I don't think a whole lot's changed. Um, as far as the band goes, uh, it's completely different. Like you know, I, I'll try to keep this as concise as I can. Like I don't know Simon Says outside of the decade that we did Simon Says. Every single Simon Says song was written as four dudes in a room arguing, fighting, crying, hugging. Like we were all involved in every aspect of every song that ever was presented. So we never file shared. Like that wasn't a thing back in the day. It wasn't like, well, I'll write my part and you write your part, and hey, you send this to me, and like, so this whole thing is completely foreign. Now we're grown men. I mean, we're closer to 50 than we are 40. I've got three kids at home. Zach's got a brand new son. He'll be a year old. Mike and Mike don't have children, but I mean, Mike Johnston's married. He's running a uberly successful business, if that's a word. Uber,
Yeah, we can use it.
very successful business. Arietta is running. He's running a company here in Sacramento. So the only way that we can really like spark ideas is by file sharing, and we're learning as we go. Like we've probably got a handful of like really solid foundations of songs, but that's it. Like they're essentially parts at this point. Like, we've got
Oh,
verses and
yeah.
choruses, and but all the little nuance, all the tags and all the transitions between this part and that part, like that was all stuff that's always been hashed out in the studio. We're not doing that right now. We're trying to figure out, how do we do that? Is that something we have to do? If so, then great. Then we need to make it a priority. Is this something that we can do virtually, via file sharing or whatever? Zach has a studio. Like I said, he's a producer engineer. So I've spent plenty of time at his studio working on vocals. We've thrown up some stuff online that's like, I mean, really, really rough, but that's all stuff that we've done in the studio. We've just started rehearsing in the last 2 weeks. We've literally had two Simon Says rehearsals since all of this has kind of like come to light.
You
Uh,
guys look happy in those rehearsal snips, man. Like
it,
you guys
it's
energized, you know?
yeah, yeah. No, it's a blast, but we're just kind of like getting our legs. Like we're still learning like how to be in a room together. I mean, up until this point, like we hadn't even, with the exception of, excuse me, one little, you know, uh, get together in the height of COVID, we haven't been in a room together, the four of us, in 22 years. So like when we get together to practice for 2 or 3 or 4 hours or whatever, there's probably 30 or 40 minutes of actual rehearsal, because the other 2.5 hours is like, uh, where, uh, where are you setting up? Dude, let me test out this gear I haven't played in 20 years. Oh, it sounds like shit. Like, oh, it's broken. Oh, yeah, I mean, it's like we don't have a rhythm yet. So back to your original question. Um, for me personally, writing hasn't really changed. For the band, we're we're like learning as we go. Like it's completely different in 2023 than it was back in 1996.
Oh, absolutely. I don't even record, and I hear that from a lot of musicians. It's just way different now.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you got your bands that still will get together in a room because that's what they're used to doing, but there's those are also a lot of bands that have just kept going throughout these decades, and so that's just they have the rhythm. They didn't have to find it again.
Totally. So
Yeah.
so to perspective, like just this afternoon, I've been on a group chat with management and Zach, um, about some potential engineers, mixers for this new stuff that we're gonna plan to release. And it's all good, it's all gravy, everyone's super excited, but it's like, you know, okay, so like basically the consensus is like, so like what do we send these people? And it's like, I'm kind of like, well, we don't really have songs. We have parts. We have like 50% of a song. We've got 60% of a song. We've got 40% of a song. But it's like, I mean, we can send people stuff just to hear their tones, but like, there's no song yet. So it's like, I'm like, what do we do? And we're just talking about this literally 2 hours ago. Do we get in the room? Do we just kind of like start? Do we screw rehearsing a set for 4 months away and just kind of like hunker down and like try to write together? Or do we continue to like file share and work at that? Like we don't know. Like you're literally, like, we're chatting in the middle of us just figuring out like how to fucking do it. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
I would kill to experience that. Like I had this fantasy growing up, as a lot of people will, about creating in a room with people writing music. I've written lyrics for a couple of decades now, right? But I've never recorded anything. I sing a little bit, not real great, but I've always wrote. It's I don't know where I was going with that, but I guess I could relate in some ways to what you're saying as far as the creating goes. Sharing things, like ideas.
Yeah, I think ultimately what I'm saying is like it's like as exciting as it is and as motivated as we are to like do some cool shit, it's really overwhelming. You know what I mean? Especially when we put the pressure on ourselves to kind of put these things out there. It's like we didn't have to book a show, right? We didn't have to book a couple shows. We didn't have to say that, hey, we're going to put some new material out at the beginning of the year. Like we didn't have to do that, but we did it. So now we kind of inherently like put this pressure on ourselves, you know what I
Oops.
mean? Yeah, which is fine. Like I think we had to do that to keep us on track because it's so easy to just go, oh yeah, we'll get to it, and then it's
Yeah.
like
I
six
mean,
months by and
and
you don't.
yeah,
But but so it's all good. Like there's no like there's nothing negative about it, but it does put a level of pressure to where it's like, okay, like now you got to deliver. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
I,
it's like
yeah,
not that we were ever fucking Metallica. Like I like, dude, we're realistic. Like we accept that like we're not some band that like the masses are just waiting to hear from. But like we do have our little diehard following, you included in that following, that like we want to like do right by. It's not that you're asking for like, well, you better or else, but it's like our own pride
yeah.
wants, like, we want you to be like, fuck yeah, not like, it's cool.
Yeah, well, that little snippet of that demo in that show announcement video has got me pumped. Like, I think the what I can make out from your vocals and just how the song sounds, like it kind of sounds a little bit sentimental and a little bit reflective.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I'm always writing from an honest place. And right now I'm really reflective. I'm
yeah.
really, I'm really like, aware of the time that we have. Do you follow Mike, the drummer online?
On on Instagram, I do. Yeah,
Okay. So if you go to his IG, go like two or three reels over. He literally does a playthrough on that thing that we put underneath the show announcement,
I missed that.
and it's literally like him just trying out cymbals and heads um over that, so you can hear the vocals loud and clear. Now the verse vocals are nothing. Like it's literally like I think we manufactured kind of a low end sort of devilish like thing, and it just happens to be high. So like don't pay attention to the verses are straight garbage, but like the chorus, the chorus, it opens up and like you can hear like there, you don't need to make anything out. Just go to his shit and like you can hear what he put out there, and you can hear the chorus loud and clear.
Yeah, I will definitely do that. I was talking with my buddy that introduced me to Simon Says that there's actually a guy actually in a band called Six Scars, not my buddy actually. That to me it sounds like as far as like sound wise, and it could change, but I feel like it's gonna go the route of kind of like being like a little bit like how Tourniquet sounds like, heavy. I've never really considered that song a ballad, but it's kind of the song on that record. I've talked to people that consider Dead Weight maybe a little. Like, no, that's no ballad, man. That's a dark song. But
Right.
it's like it could go a little bit of like a Tourniquet route, like mid tempo song, kind of like a chuggy guitar, maybe. I
That's kind of really where our lifeblood was long before Jumpstart.
Yeah,
And, um, I don't know if you ever listened to much Key to Arson.
I
Um,
did also listen to Automatic Static.
okay,
Yeah,
so I've often told people that I feel like Key to Arson was the closest to Simon Says recorded that ever got like that was ever Simon Says. So like you got two sides of the spectrum, right? You got the Jumpstart side of the spectrum, which was like That was the melodic, the poppy side, right? Or not even, I won't even say poppy. That was the melodic side, right? It was just like straight optimism, just like big soaring vocals, like it was the big, just wide open, obvious, like la 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 shit. And then Shut Your Breath was really angry, and we can do this multiple times, Will. So it's not like we got to get all this in tonight. Like I'm more than happy
Oh,
to.
that I'm more than happy to do a part two, part three. We need to trust me.
Then you got Shut Your Breath, which is like a really angry record, and there's a lot of shit in between there as to why it's an angry record. But that was our big fuck you record. And like you have both sides, as Simon Says. There was definitely the Jumpstart side, and there was the Shut Your Breath side. But recorded, like, we were never really captured. Like that's been the big consensus, and I don't disagree. It's like when you saw Simon Says live, that was Simon Says. We never ever got our pure essence recorded. I think Shut Your Breath was probably the closest as far as like energy, but like, dude, it's just that's 50 minutes of just pure fucking,
I
and like,
love it.
that wasn't all Says. Like, I love that record, don't get me wrong, like, I love that record, but there was a lot more to the Says. Key to Arson, even though Mike was removed, I listened to the songwriting on Key to Arson, and to me, now I could be wrong, but in my personal feeling, being inside the forest, is like, that to me captured both elements. You had the Jumpstart side and you had the Shut Your Breath side, all melded together in Key to Arson. It was heavy melodic rock. You know
And
what I mean?
the direction the new stuff's going, I'm here for it, man. Like,
And
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
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 I'm amped, dude. I don't know if I've shared it with you, but when I saw that post from Taproot on Facebook with a blue Simon Says tag, I'm like, there's never been a Simon Says Facebook. What is going on?
Yeah.
And then I followed that, and I followed some other links, and then I see a new photo shoot with you and the guys, and I'm like, no damn way. I get
Yeah.
it on my phone. I text my buddy. I'm like, hey, I think Simon Says is up to something. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, they've got a Facebook page, there's a website, and they're all together. There's something going on. I told him that your guys' two records were on Apple. And by the way, Key to Arson, will that go on there at any point?
It will. It will.
Good. But I was freaking out, man. I was jumping in my room or front room, just cheering. My kid looking at me like, "Dad, are you all right?"
Yeah.
And I'm just amped. Like,
That's cool.
I hope it makes you feel validated. You guys coming back. The fact that I'm so excited about it. It's not just me. Like, there's so many people. I'm sure you've seen on your guys' Instagram, your Facebook page, that we're here, man. We never went anywhere. We were waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I know that the genuine diehards like never abandoned us for sure. And I think that's partly why we're willing to just kind of like try this out. I mean, we didn't plan to get back together. I being a diehard, I'm assuming that you've probably heard a podcast or two in the last couple of months where I've talked about all this stuff.
I've listened.
Yeah, so I don't want to go, I don't want to waste all our time here rehashing all the same shit, but like, it's an accident that we're even together in the first place. I think that we are in a place to where it's like we're just kind of like done hanging on to like old bullshit. You know what I mean? Like we've got kids now, and it's like, who gives a shit? It's not like we're the Beatles. Like, dude, we're Simon Says, man. No, like, without being totally self-deprecating. No one gives a shit. Like, who the fuck is Simon Says? Like, why can't we just like appreciate what we feel good about it and like move on? You know what I mean? So like, yeah, we're kind of in this place to where it's like our main goal, our main goal is just to reestablish our relationships with each other. That's it. If we as a collective didn't feel good about playing live or feel good about the possibilities of releasing new music, to be quite honest with you, Will, we wouldn't do it. Like, like we wouldn't. It's not worth sacrificing our relationships with each other to like
Absolutely, man. I agree. Absolutely.
to please a handful of fans out there. Okay. It just so happens that because we're so appreciative of what we created, you know, 2 decades ago, that we are willing to like see what could happen. You know what I mean? But it's about our personal relationships first and foremost, you know? So we're stoked. We're totally stoked. I'm stoked that you're stoked. I'm
I
stoked that
am.
more people like you are stoked, you know? And if that ends up being a thing that can kind of like
Take
go
off,
like
man.
bigger, great. If not, okay. Like, like, okay.
Remember the remember you don't want to get locked into a 4 or 5 week tour though, right?
I don't. I
Yeah.
don't.
Keep old
Al-
man bones from being too brittle.
Although I will tell you that we have been offered some stuff on the East Coast, and we are working on facilitating doing a run out and maybe a run back. So like
Just
we're gonna
hit,
play.
just hit
We're
Oregon.
dude.
Just hit Oregon somewhere, like between Portland and Eugene. All
Well,
right.
what if you had to go like Idaho or like Colorado?
Idaho's more realistic.
Why
California,
are you just down to Sac, dude? Come on,
yeah, it's only 7.5 hour drive. I mean, it's hey,
dude.
buddy.
That's less time for me to go to LA.
Yeah, I've been to LA. I remember coming down through that smog into LAX. I'm just like, how do people breathe this stuff?
Right.
Yeah,
I
but
tell you what, if you can work it out to where you can get to Sacramento, okay, then I will get you in the show. I'll get you access. What I'm not trying to entice you. I'm just telling you, like, if you working one end of the angle like is like hard enough, I'll facilitate the other end of the angle.
we could probably see if something could work there.
All right. So we
Save up
got
the time.
you let me know.
Absolutely, I would killed. I'd probably bring my buddy along with me because
That'd be great. Yeah.
he would just kill to see. Um, eh, he's getting down to the wire here. But another question I wanted to ask you is, I don't remember if you touched on it or not. You just mentioned re-recording Dyslexic Smile, right?
Yeah.
What was the reason why that wasn't on any version of Shut Your Breath, like international or just in the States? Was that a label side of it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Hollywood Records was owned by Disney, and
Oh,
Disney is very family friendly. And you know, the Dyslexic Smile is basically kind of an anti-religion,
okay.
um, anti-otherworldly. You know, it's an anti-God song, basically. Well, I say that it's not an anti-God song. Like I'm like, hey, whatever makes you feel better. Dyslexic Smile is an anti-organized religion song.
I
Uh,
support.
you know,
You know,
so you know, so basically, you know, you've got a line in the song that basically says, "I don't give a shit about your fucking God," which is the tagline of every chorus. Um, that was basically, I was on the phone with Michael Eisner and Bob Cavallo. Michael Eisner was the CEO of Disney for some little band called Simon Says. Like this was
uh-huh.
that. Uh, Basically, we were threatened that if we wanted to pursue um, or proceed with putting that song on the record, that the record was never going to come out. So we just conceded and we're like, okay, well, as much as we love that song, we'd rather the record come out. This has been a battle already, so we'll just pull that song. Um, so that's why it's not on anything. It's a copyright issue. So Hollywood Records owns those masters of that record. So being that they own those, we can't even just release it, even though we have
Mhm.
it, like we can't release it because they own it. You're
Okay,
right.
makes
You know,
sense. Yeah.
right. So, but like we love that song. We know that people out there love that song. So our whole thing is like, well, why don't we just re-record it and then release it? Because guess what? If we re-record it, they don't own it. We do. So I don't know if it'll be any better. I don't know if it'll be any worse. But our whole thing is like our intention is to re-record it so that we can have it out there. Now I can send you Dyslexic Smile, the actual proper recording that was on Shut Your Breath, but like it'll just be yours. Like we just can't release it. That's all. So
Uh, First time I heard that song, I think, was in 2013. I didn't know it existed, and for obvious reasons, I was just, like I said, and like having a deep dive into YouTube, trying to find any information on you guys doing anything, and
yeah,
I saw a YouTube channel, and it had the whole album on there, and then a song called "Dyslexic Smile." And the first thought I had was, "That's probably a fake song," you know. And then I clicked on it, I'm like, "No, that's Zach's tone. That's
yeah,
Mike drumming. That's the bass line from Ariata."
yeah.
And
The only the only thing I know that was on was the advanced copy. There were a handful of advanced copies that went out that Dyslexic Smile was on before it got pulled from the actual released record.
yeah.
So it's
Tell me if
some version. Yeah.
tell me if I'm right. It sounded like that song would have fit right after like either Siphon or Blister on the record.
So I don't know if you listen to the New Metal podcast or New Metal Agenda with Holiday Kirk. But
Is was that the one you did
with
recently?
that,
Uh,
it was with Zach. It was probably like back in like April or May, but it didn't come out until like July.
okay.
Um, but we actually went into this and we found out that it's actually track 9. So
Oh,
I think that would have been right before Tourniquet. Is that
yeah,
correct?
that's dead. That would be
Yeah.
after Wait then.
So between Dead Weight and Tourniquet, is that right? Or am I wrong? No,
I
Dead Weight was earlier.
well, I got your record right here. I mean, I can always look.
What's track 8 and what's track 10?
All right. So we got
So,
track 8 is actually Limousines and Penthouse Suites, and then Tourniquet comes after that.
so it would have been, I believe, right between Limos and Tourniquet.
Yeah.
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 If I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
That would
I
that would
I can double check that for you, but I think it was track 9-ish. Yeah.
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 Um can I ask you if you're willing to go into just briefly Dead Weight? That's
Mhm.
always been my pinnacle favorite Simon Says song. Like I am a big fan of songs where the artists or the musicians, whatever you want to call them, take the time to let a song open up,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like I love that kind of structuring and
Yeah.
just like how you wrote the song about like it almost sounded like you were grieving something, right? And I just loved how you worded it so perfectly because I related it to my relationship with my father. That's
Okay.
a very dark period of my life, right? And when I first heard that song, instantly connected with like that, what I felt like you were kind of trying to convey to the listener. What was it about?
Um, so I I'll I'll make this as short as I can. But I have to credit Mike Johnston with, excuse me, sort of the structure and sonically how that song came out. That song was basically recorded, done, printed, and ready for mix, and it was a completely different song. It was a straight up radio song.
Really?
It was
I
straight
tried
like
that in my
up up tempo, like muted 16th note guitars. Dun, 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 dun.
Nearly 7 minutes.
No, it was like 4 minutes, 3.5 minutes. Like, and we sat with it and we sat with it. And Mike was always just like, this is fucking, dude, I hate this. Like, I don't like this is fucking like he just didn't like it. And so we're like, well, what do we do? You know, because we want everyone to be happy. Like, and so we like the record was done and we went back in and retracked, re-recorded. I mean, we did everything, like, you know, and basically made it what it is, which is kind of just this sleeper, kind of just sludgy, like suicide song, really. So I have to preface everything with like, that was not the original vision of the song. Now that it's turned out the way it has, I think none of us could hear it any differently. But so that's how we got there. Lyrically, yeah, I was absolutely like basically what I was mourning was like what I felt like was our career. Like it was just no one understood, you know, like we were mismarketed. We made a lot of mistakes. You know, I don't hold like I take accountability on behalf of the band that like we fucked up a lot too on the way that we were presented to the world on Jumpstart. You know, the record. I'm sorry for the cussing. The record,
Right.
the record label and management, yes, like they had a large hand in it, but we allowed it to happen. So when that's what Shut Your Breath is. Shut Your Breath is basically us trying to regain control of like, no, like we're us. Simon Says is this. It's not that, you know? So yeah, dead weight is basically just like kind of a metaphor of like me just feeling like it's over. Like, you know, like I would almost be happier just not doing this because I'm tired of answering the questions. You know what I mean? I'm tired of like justifying what was presented on that first record. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah, I could totally understand how that could just be draining mentally and just weigh on your shoulders.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I don't want to keep you too long. You got a late or an early morning. You want to shoot for next Friday?
Yeah, let's do it
Yeah.
again. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll make this
Yeah. I'm all for it, man. Like this has been a lot easier than I thought it would be. Like you're super down to earth. Like it's just not to say that I thought you wouldn't be down to earth, you know, but yeah.
well, I
This has
can
been
be an if you'd rather me be an asshole.
ah, I mean, I've dealt with those my whole life anyway, so it would just be another asshole that I go, hey, thanks for your time, you know.
Right, right. No, let's
But
shoot Friday, dude. We'll just make this a thing if you want to do it. You
yeah,
know?
we'll just riff and rap as you call it, and just hang out. I got a lot left to cover,
Yeah,
but I almost prefer how this went better because I'm not the kind of person that wants to necessarily go by something that's predetermined, like
that's right.
how it's going to flow, right?
Yeah,
So that's why I was like, you know what? Why don't I just take what I wrote down and only touch on certain aspects of it
yeah,
because that fits my personality type better too.
yeah.
You know, I feel like it was a little easier for you to just kind of, go with it.
Well, yeah, I don't. This isn't like my thing, so it's like I don't want to overstep and tell you how to do it because it's like you need to do whatever makes you feel comfortable. So if having bullet points and having an outline makes you feel comfortable, then do it. But like as far as I'm concerned, I'm like throw all that out because it's like I would much rather just have a conversation. You know what I
I
mean?
This is
But
like I said,
again, like
yeah.
I'm happy either way. You know what I mean? Like so, it's all good, man.
Good, good. But yeah, thank you, man, so much for your time. Hopefully I can figure out how to post this up. You're more than welcome to post it up if you guys want to as well. Like you could cut it up wherever you want.
Well, send me when you get this kind of how you want it. If you're going to go through and do edits or whatever, like
Uh,
that's send me whatever you're comfortable with me sharing, like from start to finish, or if you just have segments. But do you have like are you going to put this on a YouTube channel or your
uh,
Instagram, whatever?
uh,
Like that's what I'm saying is like I'll put it up and I'll direct people to go there where you when you have some place for people to go.
it was probably gonna end up on my Facebook page because I don't have a YouTube channel. I have a YouTube, but it's not a channel, and I have my Instagram as well. You know what that one is.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know if you could post up a 20-minute clip on there or not. I think it operates different than Instagram
Well, yeah,
or Facebook.
I take a clip of it and
Okay.
that thing. But as long as there's a link, then I can be like, hey, here's a little snippet of whatever. Like, go check out the full interview
Yeah.
here. So you just tell me where you want traffic to go and send me what you want me to put up, and I'll happily put it up there. It's
Absolutely, man.
I'm happy to help you, dude. If this is something you want to do, let's help you out.
I've actually got like 5 other interviews after you that I've actually already got nailed
Well,
down to do at some point.
no.
But yeah. All right, man. You have a great night. Again, thank you. I look forward to next time.
All right, man. Me too. Cool.
All right. Take
All
it
right, well,
easy.
you too. Bye.